Hi, good morning. My name is Mai Atafo, and I own a fashion label called Atafo. Before I start, I would please, for those of you going to be filming this session on your phones or Instagram, as much as possible, tag me, because I realize that for my reposts, people get to learn from what we're sharing here today. So if you can, I really appreciate that. So if you tag Mai Atafo, and that way, if I repost it, others that are not here get to learn from this process. And if you can do that for the other design, I think that'd be great. So we just get this conversation going. Great. So my name is Mai Atafo. Like I said, I found a fashion label called Atafo. We just rebranded to Atafo last year, end of last year. And unlike most people, I didn't take the journey. My journey wasn't straight into fashion. So I worked in corporate for close to 9 years. I worked in British American Tobacco in the marketing department. I also worked in Diageo, or Guinness as you know it, before I left there and decided to go into fashion. While I was working at Guinness, I did fashion on the side for about 3 years before I quit my job in 2010 to do fashion full time. So it wasn't the route of, I'm a creative and I want to be a fashion designer. It was just something that I loved to do, and it was from the perspective of me actually wearing clothes. So I was that vain guy that just loved to look good. And the more that happened, people go like, what are you wearing? Who made this for you? And I guess that tailor over there, that made it. So I never, took it from them and made it for them. But as years went by, I thought it'd be nice to do that. So it's really just started. And like I keep saying, it didn't start as a business, it started out of love. The moment I quit my job, I knew it had to be a business. Because, if you're not bringing in back the bacon, then there's a problem. So now trying to make that a proper business is a very tough thing on the continent. Especially in Nigeria is really difficult. But, I've been there for 10 years. It has its highs and its lows. I think more than anything, it fulfills me more emotionally that I'm doing this. Not as much financially, but we'll get there one day. And yeah, I love doing this. And I tell people at the end of the day, if I was a super great brand manager, brand managing expert, that probably wouldn't get me here sitting in front of you having this conversation. And I think that impact means a lot more to me, and so I'm happy to be here to share my story with you guys, and that's me. For me, I think that when I left my job to start fashion, it was I had to get a store, so I had to pay money, a lot of money, which I could pay because I had a good job before. But literally, when you're running through the costs of things that you need to do, you have to get money coming back in. And when the money is not coming back in, then you have to realize that, okay, what's going on? Reality actually strikes at the point in time. Because I always say to enter, like Bayo said, entry is easy. When you enter, now you need to sustain, or you're moving from small to medium size. And there's a problem. Or when you have the kind of customer you always dreamt should order something from you, coming to order from you, and you can't deliver because you don't have the kind of machine to deliver on that kind of stuff, you start thinking business, no longer fashion alone. So I think the turning point for me was, I got an order, and I think like Bayo too, never been to fashion school before. And I got this order from this really big guy who turned out to be a minister some months later. And I delivered. It was a huge order. And once I delivered to him, he made a second order, but he corrected at least 4 of the 6 pieces I delivered before. He showed me all the errors that I did wrong. It was a challenge for me because I felt like this kind of customer that I really wanted, and I can't get this thing right. So for his second order, I had to beg him that it would take me 8 months to deliver it. And he was like, well, I thought I was going to fashion school. Because I didn't want to screw this up. He was actually a very nice guy. He was quite encouraged. He even gave me some money for fashion school. So I went to Milan. I did a short course in pattern making for menswear. It was only a month, and that was the only time I could take out of my work. And this was in 2015. So now I tell people go to fashion school before you start, so you have the technical competence. And they're like, no, you didn't go. I'm like, that's why I'm asking you to go, because I know what I had to sacrifice. Before that, I got a master tailor from Savvy Row. For those of you that don't know the Savvy Row is like literally the mecca of suit making in England. I got a master tailor from there. Master tailor has nothing less than 35 years experience in making a coat. I brought him to Nigeria for 2 weeks. It cost me £500 a day from the moment he started this journey from his house in Leeds. So while he was traveling within London, I was paying him. All right, so I did that before I went to Milan. And when I got back from Milan, I did that a second time. Now, I'm saying all that because that's the amount of money you spend after you have started without starting properly. Because if I was going to fashion school, or doing a short course here and there, I wouldn't spend that much money. But I couldn't be out of the business for that long. Okay, so once it starts to happen, I started thinking business. And one of the biggest things for me, and I always tell people, sometimes you don't learn everything you need from fashion. I learned one of the biggest business plans in my life from a TV show. It was a reality TV show in Nigeria. I'll be real quick about this one. It was a football TV show. Football is the biggest passion in the country. Maybe music is now, but football unites us in Nigeria. And there was a TV show where the registration fee was 3,000 naira. At the end of 4 months, 30,000 people had registered for this TV show to be part of this football TV show. So they made 90 million naira in 4 weeks. Now, 90 million naira is a lot of money. For those of you that don't convert, just divide that by 360, you'll get the dollar equivalent, right? And for me, immediately I saw that the light bulb went up in my head. And I said, so if I make a product, I can make 3,000 naira from it. I can sell that product to 30,000 people. I can make 90 million naira. I'm like, wait, hold up. So what product can I make a profit of 3,000 naira from? And that's when the thought process started. But instead, I didn't do the 3,000 naira. I did the 30,000 naira to sell to 3,000 people. That's how I got into making suits. Because with suits, I could do more margin because the price was a lot higher. So that's how my business, the business reasoning actually really started. I started to navigate the way that I did things. So I compare a collection to a music album. On an album, maybe 3 songs are a hit. So in the collection, maybe only 4 pieces will be a hit. Don't lose sleep. Sweat the 4 pieces, okay? And that's how my brain kind of works. So it doesn't work in kind of like the way it works with fashion. I look at other industries and say, this album was really great. Jay-Z did a great job with the album. Got 21 songs in it, but only 5 songs I like. Do you get what I mean? And maybe only 5 songs got to the top, got to Billboard, and that's what's making his money off, those 5, really. And that's where I look at collections. So now my head is always around a business conversation with what I do. And it's pretty much from anything that is really passive. It doesn't have to be really like that deep, to make it happen. So that's how the business navigation in my fashion business kind of like kicked off. When we as Africans, by ourselves, make a hit, we do not celebrate it. In your heart, this is a hit. You don't celebrate it. When someone from the other side, colonizer, says it's a hit, then we all now gravitate towards it and say it's a hit. So I said it last year, it's like, instead of trying to spend time changing the narrative, let's just narrate in the first place. We don't do enough of that. We don't sing our praises. Yeah. Even when, I'm not saying when we do it crap, when we do it absolutely amazing. Do you understand? Burna Boy was amazing before the Grammys.
Thank you. Yes.
He was. But it took Coachella for us to realize that he was amazing. Why? But we're bumping to it. We just didn't say it out loud enough. And that happens in fashion too. It's when Basi did a tape print, it was amazing. We didn't shout. Prada did it. Moschino did it just months later. Do you get what I mean? So I think that we do not just celebrate our own, not everybody, the wins. Celebrate the wins. So I think we don't shout about our wins and it's easy for other people to just like trample over it. We kind of like still look for the endorsement from the outside for us to celebrate our wins. Sometimes we as designers now use it to our advantage because it feels like, I want to make money. I'm not here to preach about you changing your ways. So now I just go with the flow. But it prides me now that when I look at my email box, I have 10 stylists from the States saying, I want this piece for this and that. I want your piece for Coming to America. I want you to put your piece on Daniel Kaluuya. I want to do this, that. And I'm thinking, okay, that's interesting. I will use that as a platform to sell back to my fellow Africans to say that, I'm that good. Do you get what I mean? But that shouldn't be the way, to be honest. So that's the other part of the coin, I think. I'm not saying celebrate everything Africa. People always say, we say buy Nigeria to grow the Naira. I don't subscribe to it. I'm like, buy quality. Buy what you want to buy. I'm not handicapped, okay? So I'm not a sorry case. I'm not someone that, I just want to support. Do what you want to do. So when you go out there and someone says, I love that piece, you're like, yeah, it's an amazing piece. And guess what? It's African. Let that be the cherry on the cake that makes it, amazing. Not trying to sell that, it's African and this is a bit, it could be better if, no. Do you understand what I mean? I mean, that's the way I see it. So it pushes me to perfection because that's the only way when, I'm definitely gonna die. When I die, I was gonna say if, but when I die, my label will still be alive. That's because it is known for quality, is known for delivering on a certain thing, that it's more than just me, the guy behind the label. And that was one of the reasons why we rebranded recently. And so it's a dream and a destination. I want to be the best suit maker in the world, not in Africa. And that's a vision for me. It's not the case of, I'm better. No, the world, period. I know we didn't invent the suits, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't make it better than you. Do you get what I mean? I'm going to stand and just grab it. And that's how I see it. So there are a lot of factors, and I don't want our case to be the sorry case. Because you see, a lot of Africans with the right opportunity do amazing stuff. The World Cup was won by the African team in France. Do you get what I mean? But that's because they had the right opportunity and everything. So think of us trying to still deliver to that quality back there where we have literally nothing. It's also a chance for you guys to think about it, Maybe some people are going to come up with an ingenious thing for us to do to bring it up to that level. You never know, we're in Harvard, But that's also the way that I think about this. I get emails every day about trainings, and I believe that you should be trained the right way. And I do not have the platform to do that. I do something called Fashion Conversations, where I invite, young people in fashion to my studio, and we spend a day. I do not tell them, they ask me questions. So if you don't ask a question, I don't say a thing. So you ask, then I respond with practical examples and as much as I know. Because I find out that a lot of people just talk at people rather than have a conversation with them. And a lot of people are shy. So someone wants to ask, someone will be sitting down here, is going to ask, how do I thread the needle? But they'll think if I ask that question right now, everyone will just kill me. So they keep quiet. So that forum is just for you to ask questions. The shortest time we have done is 6 hours. That's the shortest we've done. And we sit in my studio, I give them lunch, I give them drinks, we do everything. So then I take a tour of the studio. So I do that. I don't have enough time to do as much. But that's what I do in terms of that. Secondly, kind of want to blur the lines in terms of how we see things. So I use European fabrics a lot to do what I'm doing. And where's my model? Chinedu is not here right now. Okay. So, yeah. So I make things that have a hybrid between what you call European and what you would call African. Okay, so even what I'm wearing right now is supposed to be a kaftan with a suit pocket and a suit sleeve, but it has buttons all the way down, and I have an inner shirt inside. The Igbo people wear something like this with a white shirt. The Northerners in Nigeria wear something like this with a white shirt. Buhari does wear a white collarless shirt in his kaftans. So it's how do you blur the lines whereby it can be seen by someone international say, I can wear that. Right. So your fashion is not a trend, but more a staple. Okay, so I think that prints can be a trend for this season and go away. A suit is something that will be there regardless of what happens. Now, if this is going to be an alternative to a suit because I'm African, then I just won. You know, so this kind of conversations I have. So Chinedu is wearing something that has a kaftan inside, and he's wearing a kaftan jacket. It has no buttons in front, but it's like a three-piece suit. He's wearing with his hat. So you look at that, it's like, I can wear this maybe with or without the hat. You know, that's kind of conversations I would like to start with what I want to do.